Hi, this is Mass Rundown. If you enjoy movie reviews and trailer reactions, you're in the right place, so why not subscribe and hit the like button down below.
Today we'll be reviewing Roe v. Wade. Roe v. Wade is a political legal drama produced, written and directed by Nick Loeb. It stars Nick Loeb as Bernard Nathanson, Stacey Dash as Mildred Jefferson, and John Voight as Warren E. Burger.
Essentially, the movie is a legal historical movie, and it really focuses on the process of how abortion came to be legalized in America. To me, the crux of the movie is really the back and forward that we get between the opposing views and how sometimes they used quite unethical means to get what they wanted.
It was definitely interesting to get quite a in-depth view on both perspectives, what each side was trying to accomplish and how they were going about it.
And I think each side really meant well because they were both doing what they believed in.
One of the best things about this movie is it really does spark debate and discussion, because we had quite a lengthy discussion on abortion straight after the movie and during the movie.
Yeah, I was about to say, because we paused the movie at a few points to look at what was happening and to actually talk about all the pros and cons that come with abortion, because there's a lot of different viewpoints, and I think most of them do have some significant contributions to thought, because you can't just look at one side and say, I'm pro this and that's it. It's like I'm pro-choice or I'm pro-life, and you have to kind of say why. And I like this movie because it elicits that thought and those emotions in someone. And I think for me it was quite interesting because I was looking at it from so many different perspectives. Because as someone with background in diversity studies, and obviously I'm a woman, I could see a lot of the viewpoints and how it was quite entangled within human and women's rights. And then on the other hand, I was looking at it from a psychological perspective, and counseling someone through an abortion or the choice to get an abortion or not to get an abortion. It's very interesting, and I think in that context, I'm 100% pro-choice. But now going through medical school, I'm sitting and thinking I'm pro-choice, but at the same time, would I personally be able to perform an abortion? It becomes a little muddier then. And it's something I've had to seriously think about now.
Yes.
Because I think it's really important for women to have the option to get an abortion if they want to. Because the type of mothers and children that will be around, if they're so unwanted, would not be a good thing. And I think a lot of it runs down to women's empowerment. So women have choices not to have a child with someone that's been abusive.
Yeah.
It doesn't always have to be about rape. It could just be about abusive relationships. Because if you have a child with someone, you're tied to them forever. Also, just about women not harming themselves in an attempt to get an abortion, either through an alley or doing it themselves at home. It's so dangerous, and so many women die, especially in Africa. And economically now, I don't know about the rest of the world, but I know in South Africa, there's been a lot more mothers who haven't been able to look after their children, putting their children on the doorsteps of a lot of these orphanages and safe havens, because with the current economic climate, they literally cannot look after the child. They cannot feed their child. It's very sad. So I expect some people wouldn't necessarily want to have a child now during this economic downturn, during COVID, because so many people are unemployed. How are they going to look after the child? Just saying you can get them adopted isn't exactly the answer either. I've worked in some orphanages, and I wouldn't say it's the picture of mental health being in there. And I know orphanages and stuff, they really do their best, or most of them do at least. But there's just something missing, especially because a lot of orphanages and stuff don't get a lot of government funding. They're so full already that they don't really have so much space for more kids. Adoptions have probably decreased during this time because people just don't have the resources and the money. So, it's so hard.
And for a film to spark such debate and discussion, it needs to be relatively well filmed, and this was pretty well filmed. This was a sensitive topic after all, and yeah, they did it very well. One of my favorite parts of the movie is when the justices are at home and they've been influenced in their decision by their family, especially by the women in their lives. And I think it's pretty apt that they were influenced by the women in their lives because their decision impacts them more than anyone else.
Yeah, I thought it was or is strange that a lot of decisions made about women and women's bodies and how they are regulated is often made by men.
Yeah.
Who have no idea how it feels like to be a woman. Their lived experiences are so different in every way that I don't think they could ever understand. So if they didn't take on the women's perspectives in their lives, then they were basing their opinion on what?
Another part of the movie that was handled very well is intermittently we had a classroom basically where you had a professor teaching students and they were discussing the legal implications and moral implications of these rulings and these court proceedings. And I thought those mixed in was actually pretty good. It gave us a bit of a third party's view almost on the proceedings.
Yeah. And it was a legal movie after all, so I think they were integral to keeping that feel.
And I think this leads us nicely into the bad, because I think it would have been nice to see more of the debates within the House, within the justices, and how they came to their decision. Because we got very much the people who were rallying on each side, but we didn't get much on how they came to their decision. We had brief glimpses of them outside the courtroom, outside their office where they make their decisions, but we didn't really hear their debates. I think that was maybe a missed opportunity.
Yeah, because I think they focus mainly on 2 or 3. But then again, I suppose it's hard to get a lot more information because a lot of the debate, I suppose, is private. I think for me, the movie was pretty good and balanced right up until the end.
Yeah.
Because the last, 7 minutes or so of the movie, it felt like they were moving much more towards pro-life instead of leaving the choice of the audience, which is what the rest of the movie had done. So I was left wondering, why deviate from this more balanced viewpoint right at the end? And I think it really let down the movie. Because they could have ended in 2 places. Either straight after the court ruling on the TV,
Yes.
or after the discussion with the reporter and the doctor right at the end. I think those would have been opportune moments just to say, you know what, this is all the facts and all the things that we're presenting, and it's up to you.
It's very easy for this type of movie to become preachy. And up until those points, it wasn't preachy. It was, like you said, very balanced. After those points, it did get a little preachy, pro-life.
Yeah, I think definitely a missed opportunity to be a balanced movie because of that. And I was actually quite annoyed right at the end because, like, you worked so hard in the movie to be so balanced to spoil it at the end. Because at the end of the day, pro-life or pro-choice, it's a very personal opinion.
Yeah.
And it's nice to have a movie that presents the facts and looks at different viewpoints, both the good and bad, on both sides, which is really important, without saying, oh, after all of this, actually, you should really be pro-life. And just the way they did it also left me unsettled.
Yeah.
Because they were very much focused on the money.
And if we're being honest, healthcare in America is all about money. We see the news, the social media posts, the people that struggle to pay their hospital bills because healthcare is expensive in America. So yes, abortion's expensive, gonna make a lot of money. Healthcare is about making money. I mean, we wouldn't have had Breaking Bad if the healthcare was affordable in America.
And I think worldwide, there are some issues with healthcare and the focus on money.
Yeah.
So not to say that America's the only place, but in America, I know there's a lot of media at the moment, especially women who have endometriosis. Because we were talking about it the other day, and they pay something like $5,000 a month or something for certain treatments, and that's crazy. And besides the money, it's not only about money. Some people are doing the job because it's important, because they want to make sure that women don't get hurt, don't kill themselves with backyard abortions or self-imposed abortions. Some people actually believe in pro-choice, making sure that women can have the best outcomes for their circumstances. Because it's nice to say, everyone is free, but in reality, a lot of women are confined by the power dynamics within relationships. And abortions are one of the few things that have to escape those power dynamics, or at least ensure that it's not as strong as what it is. So a lot of people, if you ask them, they say it's fine if you get an abortion if you're raped. But they're thinking strange rape,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. They're missing out on how many women are actually abused at home and how it's important for them too to be able to do it.
And then just looking back at it was balanced, and at the end not. A couple of the quotes were a bit unfair, I would say, because you're using quotes from Mother Teresa to support pro-life. Then you're using quotes from the KKK to support pro-choice.
Or from a rally at the KKK.
Yeah.
And the quote didn't even make sense anyways.
So, like, it's a bit biased and unfair, actually.
And I think in the movie they also tried to elicit a lot of responses with minority groups, because they were saying that at least 40% of women who have abortions belong to minority groups. So I don't know. And they didn't quite say where they got their stats from. So I don't know if they sucked it out of their thumb or they actually got it from somewhere.
Because they made it very clear in the movie that stats are very much sucked out of thumbs.
Saying that, what did you think overall?
Overall, it was a very sensitive topic, and they handled it pretty well. It could have ventured into the bad, graphic, unpleasant, sensationalized almost, and it really wasn't. I mean, it was made for the screen. You could see it was dramatized, a lot of it. And some of the facts are pretty shocking, and some of what they did was pretty shocking. But it was handled very well.
I think the movie did a good job at not being too preachy right up until the end. So I think overall I really did enjoy the movie, and I'll give it a 6.5, but only because of the end. I probably would have gotten a higher score had the end not spoiled that more balanced overview. And I see that in the press, some people have been saying it's very much pro-life, and I can see why they felt like that, because the whole movie was balanced, and then right at the end was that pro-life piece. So I agree with most people's take on the fact that it is very pro-lifey, just because of the end. It's almost a much better movie.
I'm also going to give it a 6.5 because of how well they handled the sensitive topic. But yeah, getting a bit preachy at the end.
Then just in terms of who might enjoy watching the movie, I think it was dramatized well enough for most people to enjoy it.
Yeah.
Especially if you're interested in history or women's rights, or you in the field of working with people, so psychology, social work, medicine, because these are important topics you need to think about yourself, because if the first time you think about it is when a woman comes to you to get an abortion, you're not necessarily going to be ready for your actions, and you might regret it later. So it's something that I think does need to be thought about.
Yeah. So the movie comes out on the 2nd of April. Let us know. Are you going to go watch it?
Bye. Don't forget to subscribe.
Later.